Hi, this is Dame Pasty here with your weekly brush-up of last week's episode, Oathbreaker. The Wall. Davos sounds like he's been running a marathon. Jon rises and Davos catches him. Then Davos helps Jon to make that sense of what the hell is going on. Can you believe that Davos told Melisandre to go, and she did? I think Davos's point is that living is only ever about trying. We try and sometimes we succeed and sometimes we fail, but ultimately we all die. Wait, that wasn't a very good pep talk after all. Then Tormund makes fun of Jon's schlong, followed by Ed making fun of his sense of humor, or lack thereof. And did you notice how Jon winced when he hugged Tormund and Ed? Will he ever heal, or will he be in pain from those knife wounds forever? Somewhere at sea. Sam and Gilly make their first appearance of the season on board a ship. Gilly thought they were going to the Citadel in Old Town, but between bouts of hurling, Sam tells her he's taking her to his ancestral home, Hornhill. I don't know if you remember, but Sam's dad sounds like a major dick, so I'm a little bit worried for Gilly now. Then again, he couldn't possibly be worse than Gilly's own father was, could he? Tower of Joy. Bran is on another vision quest, and this time he sees the Nedster fighting some King's Guardsmen in Targaryen armor. We book readers have literally been waiting for years to see this scene. Turns out that the Honorable Ned didn't kill Sir Arthur Dayne in one-on-one combat, and it was Howland Reed, Mira and Jojen's dad, who actually saved Ned's bacon. The fight sequence was spectacular, and I feel like I can now finally forgive the show for the crappy fight sequences in Dorne last season. Then Bran is forced out of the vision, and so are we.
You leave him alone!
Vice Dothrak. Dany's delivered to the world's meanest coffee klatch made up of former Khaleesi's, where they ignore her self-professed titles. The lady in charge, who looks like a weird cross between Alice Cooper and F. Murray Abraham, ain't having none of her sass. Seems that Dany has jumped from the frying pan into the fire because she was supposed to come there right after Khal Drogo died. Boy, are they going to regret it once Drogo shows up and decides to barbecue their asses. Meereen. Varys might be schwitzing it up in the palace, but he's cooler than a cucumber while he's interrogating the prostitute we saw last season who was working for the Sons of the Harpy. Meanwhile, upstairs, Tyrion is trying to get two former slaves to play parlor games with him. Now, why are they doing this scene? I mean, it's amusing, but not necessary. Maybe they're trying to set up that Tyrion is bored, and that becomes part of his motivation to do something else that might actually be really important. Then Varys arrives to break up the non-party and tell them that the Masters of Astapor, Yunkai, and Volantis are behind the Harpies. Well, duh! King's Landing. Next we see Qyburn in his really creepy dungeon with some kids. Knowing how he has no scruples whatsoever, it creeps me the heck out that he's giving candy to children. Will these little birds really work for him, or do they still have some loyalty to Varys? Then Jaime insults Frankenmountain, and Cersei mentions that she will use the mountain in her combat by trial. So apparently she has no intention of going in front of the 7 Septons for judgment and will demand a trial by combat. So I wonder who the church will choose for their champion. And why are they not using the mountain's fake name of Sir Robert Strong? Maybe they're trying to remind us of his brother. Then the dynamic incestuous duo and their mountainous escort barge into a meeting of the small council. Uncle Kevin is not a happy camper. Olenna is back in the house and she is sassy as ever, bless her. And Pycelle is busy slinging mud about Frankenmountain. In the end, he's the only one who ends up with tracks in his underpants. The small council ends up taking their ball and flouncing off the playground. Meanwhile, Tommen still hasn't grown a pair because he goes to confront the High Sparrow and he totally fails. This High Sparrow just needs to go, and I don't want to see Tommen again unless he either grows a pair or dies. Bravos. Arya gets her own Karate Kid montage and ends up finally getting one over that waif chick. Taking a huge gamble, Arya drinks from the pool o' death, but instead of shuffling off her mortal coil, she gets her sight back. The sequence with Arya is probably some of the best of this episode. Winterfell. Ramsay is chillaxing with his new Karstark homie when an Umber, presumably the Small John, shows up and offers his loyalty, but he refuses to swear an oath or kneel. I like the way he spoke to Ramsay. Then he had to go and offer Osha, Rickon, and Shaggy Dog's head to Ramsay as a gift. Frickin' goddamn damn it, Macintosh. Anywho, I have some theories about this Umber fellow in the speculation section at the very end of the video. Back to the wall. Jon comes out a little worse for wear to face his murderers. You gotta give Thorne credit, he was not backing down at all. And Ollie, well, he doesn't say anything but gives Jon a bitter beer face. I felt so bad for Jon because he really cared about Ollie, and his betrayal hurts the worst. And poor Ed, he is so confused when Jon gives him the Lord Commander's cloak and walks off. The Night's Watch is in a really bad fucking way when their best and only leader is Dolorous Ed.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
This was a good episode, but not great. The purpose of it was to set up some dominoes that won't fall till later in the season, so it limits what you can do with it. The theme of oath breaking and the breaking of tradition runs very clearly throughout the episode and ties everything together quite nicely. Well, that's it for this week. See you next week. Speculation and spoilers. Clegane Bowl. I can't say that word right. If the Hound returns and we have solid information that he will, then he is the obvious choice to face Frankenmountain. Most likely the Hound will return in episode 7, which is entitled The Broken Man. But we can't be sure of that, and we can't be sure of when he will actually face the mountain. Will it be in episode 9 or 10, or could it come earlier? Rickon. What if Rickon and Osha are in on the plan with the Small John, or what if he didn't even kill Shaggy Dog but the wolf was already dead, so they decided to use the wolf's head and to use themselves as bait for Ramsay? Or maybe the Small John did kill Shaggy Dog and he's using Osha and Rickon against her will. Either way, I think the Small John still intends to betray Ramsay. The reason I think this is the case is because Umber refused to kneel and swear an oath. This way, when he turns on Ramsay later, he can honestly say he broke no vows. I think this will end up replacing the Manderley scheme from the books where they pretend to be Frey Bolton allies and turn on the Freys and Boltons themselves. The other reason I think this is going to happen is they don't have time to set up the Manderley portrayal. Jon and Dany. The parallel between Jon and Dany's stories are getting very obvious now. I've had a theory for quite a while now that the three heads of the dragon are Jon, Dany, and Tyrion, and the reason I think that is because of how their stories run so parallel. They face similar setbacks, similar struggles, and similar triumphs at similar times in the show. Sansa. Where's Jon going? South, obviously, probably towards Winterfell. Well, Sansa is traveling north, and there's only one road headed north, the King's Road. Will their paths cross there? I don't think so. I still think they won't meet again until after a major battle outside of Winterfell. The trailer for next week shows Sansa arriving somewhere, but the gates that open don't look like Castle Black. Maybe it's Deepwood Motte, which is back under Glover control, according to Yara. At least the Glovers are still loyal to the Starks, and it makes sense that Brienne would want to move in that direction towards Deepwood Motte because it's away from Ramsay's area of control, which is between Winterfell and the Dreadfort. That's it for my speculation. See ya!